Welcome back, legends. I hope you're all fantastic. It's time for another installment of Friday Q&A. As always, if you've got questions for next week, put them in the comments section below. If you would like to support the channel, either via my Patreon or some of the music that I make with Ragdoll, that stuff is linked in the video description, along with a link to the Discord server if you want to come and hang out there. And yeah, there's some other free stuff in there as well if you want to kind of have a poke around. All right, let's start today's Q&A video by talking about the pickups in this guitar. I've mentioned in several videos, basically every video I make with this particular guitar, which is a 2002 Les Paul Standard Premium Plus. These are made by a buddy of mine, Martin Smith, here in Perth, Western Australia. And, you know, Martin just likes guitars and pickups and all the kind of, shall we say, alchemy that kind of goes into matching up a guitar and its pickups as a kind of system together with like pedals and amps and all the other stuff that goes with it. So long story short, I was kind of complaining to Martin about this guitar, how I'd never really found a pickup set that worked in it, and he made these for me, and it was one of those, so this is what a good set of PAF style pickups do in a Les Paul style guitar there. I mean, you just heard a whole bunch of like loud noises and then not so loud noises with distortion there, but I really love the way the neck pickup on this guitar sounds when you have a whole bunch of gain. I love the neck pickup clean. I love the kind of telly on steroids thing that you get on the bridge pickup, and it's got the so-called Peter Green mod. I'll demonstrate what I mean by that. Basically, these two pickups are out of phase. So let's put the tone control at about 5 and the volume at about 5. I'll do bridge and then neck and then both in the middle. You get this really interesting kind of bright quack in the middle that you can tame with the tone control to get a really unique, I guess, kind of un-Les Paul-like tone. Really cool. It sounds like you have a wah built in there. So that's the out of phase pickups with the tone all the way down. I really like that combo on this particular guitar. It's great clean as well. And as you can hear, it cleans up really well with the volume and tone controls. I've got a master volume and a master tone on this guitar. So these two controls down here are purely cosmetic. I just like that on a twin pickup guitar. It's kind of the way my PRSs are wired as well. So, you know, that's what's going on there. Shout out to Martin. And you can check out his website and look at some of the pickups he makes. He makes some really cool aftermarket stuff that is maybe a little more interesting and less vanilla than just pure humbuckers, but the humbuckers sound great. I love his stuff. And Martin is a lovely, lovely human being as well. So big shout out to Martin there. All right. Tony MacAlpine. I do love me some Tony MacAlpine. It was really cool to see him on Rick Beato's channel like over the week. So I guess that's why a lot of people are talking about Tony because he was on Shrapnel Records. I wanted everything that was on Shrapnel Records when I was a teenager, so I kind of became aware of Tony, and it wasn't until I got that like Steve Vai Live at the Astoria DVD where Tony's playing keys and playing guitar that I was really blown away by just how amazing the guy is at music, you know. And I have to say Tears of Sahara is probably like top 10 guitar instrumentals from the whole shred era for me. Him and George Lynch trading off on that is just amazing. And, you know, I think Tony just played with like a really, and continues to play with like this amazing amount of poise and control. You can hear that, I guess, classical piano background at play in the way he approaches guitar playing. You know, it's just so clean and precise and like in the pocket. He's amazing. I do love me some Tony MacAlpine. For me, it's like Tony, Vinnie Moore, Richie Kotzen, Paul Gilbert, Racer X. They were kind of the real pick of the bunch from that whole Shrapnel crew. I know some people will bring up a whole bunch of other people, and that's fine. I probably forgot some people that I do really like from there. Obviously, Marty and Jason Becker. Yeah, I did really like that Dr. Mastermind album, whoever played on that, and the Apocrypha stuff. I think one of those guys ended up being in Third Eye Blind, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, Shrapnel Record, Tony. Tony is awesome. When's the new Ragdoll album coming out? That is a really, really good question, and I don't know. We're still working on songs, and you know, Ryan's been coming over like every other week, and we've been tracking some vocal stuff here and just playing with arrangements and getting things right. And you know, I can't say when it's going to be done, but you know, when it's out, it's going to be out because we're all really happy with it. So yeah, it's getting there. Slowly but surely. What's the Shigeru Miyamoto quote? You know, a rushed game is forever bad, but a delayed game is eventually good. So hopefully that will apply to the album. If you've liked Rust and Follow the Leader, then I think you're going to dig all the new stuff we're working on. So yeah, officially soon. The Marshall Class 5. I don't know how I've never played a Marshall Class 5, but the person who asked this question mentioned Jacob DeRaps, who is awesome. Jacob has done a bunch of work with a good friend of mine. Shout out to Josh Gallagher and his brother Luke, who's amazing. If you're a guitar player, go and check out Luke Gallagher. He can play every style of music about as good as anybody else on earth. So yeah, Luke's fantastic. Josh is an amazing drummer, and Jacob kind of does the Van Halen thing about as good as anybody else on the planet who is not named Edward Van Halen. So yeah, his Class 5 stuff, I did see those videos and they're really good. Now I want to get my hands on a Class 5. So if you're in Perth and you got a Class 5 and I can borrow it for a day, let's do that video. Favorite neck on my guitars? This is an interesting question. It's going to go to this thing right here, which is a big, chunky, you know, I think what people call like a 58 style neck. The Hamer neck is just so nice, the way it kind of sits in my hands. I like it a lot better than the necks on any of my other Hamers, and they kind of like thin out the higher you get, whereas this thing gets fatter. So I do really, really love playing that particular neck. I also love my PRS SC245 because that's kind of my main guitar for doing ragdoll stuff, so I'm very comfortable on that. And for kind of thinner stuff, the Rubato Lassie is really, really great, the carbon fiber guitar. So is the JP7. I've really been enjoying that neck. Music Man necks just feel really, really lovely as well. Ryan's Music Man Stingray has a great neck for a bass as well. So yeah, they would be my choices right there. Uses for the IR player in the Axe FX 3. It's cool that you mentioned that because I kind of use that block to load up what I would call like corrective tone matches. So there's a like dark glass model in there, and I've tone matched that with Ryan's Sansamp for his kind of bass tone in the dual guitar bass preset we use on the Axe FX 3. And that's what I use the IR player for, using it for like an Echoplex IR, or, you know, if you've just got like a particular EQ curve you put on everything in FabFilter or something like that in your DAW, shoot an IR of it, it's really easy, and bump it into the IR player. It's a cool way to kind of have like a set EQ or a custom boost as well. Alrighty, what do we got next? Can I do a lesson with Enough Is Enough by Rat? Maybe. I don't feel like me doing lessons on individual songs on like how to play them has ever really gone over very well. Maybe I'll do a whole like how not to play like Warren DeMartini again, because I did lay it down, and maybe I'll incorporate a riff like that one. But it is a great riff. Rat and great riffs just go hand in hand. Do I have to play Lay It Down now? Well, I'm not in drop D, so look, I'll play the other Rat riff that I can probably successfully. That's not how that verse goes, but you know, you all know that by now. The Axe FX 3 with a real solid state power amp and a real cabinet. I am working on that video. By working on it, I mean it's on the list of like Axe FX related videos I want to make. So yeah, that one will happen soon. soon, officially soon? Will it come out before the new Ragdoll album? That is a good question to speculate on. Have I checked out Marcel Whitfield? I have not, but I will do that. Thank you for the suggestion. This is an interesting one. Why do people almost insist on running overdrive pedals into already dirty amps? This is the way I used to run an overdrive pedal in my rig, and it's still the way I use like the boost function in the AXFX3 and the FM3. The classic like tube screamer into 5150 thing, it's not really for the drive. It's because something like a tube screamer or an SD1 is going to cut out a lot of low end from your signal, as well as quite a bit of high end, and it's kind of going to bump the mid-range. So what you're doing is you're basically using the pedal to filter out all the crap you don't want in a tone if you're going for like a really tight high gain guitar tone. So you're essentially using it as a filter in that place. I know someone like Zach Wild has the drive knob on his SD1 up, and you can do that kind of thing and get the cascading drive thing as well. That would be another reason. Running something like the Way Huge Swollen Pickle into a dirty amp is something I used to do on my pedal board just to highlight certain riffs live. So I'm guessing in the kind of, if you're referring to the, I guess, kind of modern metal way of doing it, it's for filtering and pre-EQ purposes. If you're stacking it with the gain up, then it's just because distortion on distortion. It's kind of like, you get a nice little bit of pud and you put a bit of custard on the pud, and then you put a bit of cream on the pud, and then the pud is really, really good. And, hopefully some of you will understand that reference in there. Alrighty, what on earth does this say? I've written something. The Digitech drop. You saw the video during the week, hopefully. If not, it's up on my channel. How does it compare to like the AXFX and the Helix Poly Capo? Haven't tried the Helix Poly Capo. Didn't get a chance to try it with the AXFX. So the pedal has now gone back to my buddy that was lent to me by a subscriber. I might actually just go and buy one of those because I liked it so much, and then I can do an actual shootout comparison video. So the AXFX3 pitch shifter is pretty killer as well, and obviously because you got the pitch block, you got a whole bunch of extra fun stuff in there that the drop does not do. But I think the drop is pretty amazing at what it does. The only thing I could think like that, remember those Morpheus drop tune pedals? Did anyone ever have one of those? Let me know in the comments if you did. Alrighty, we're getting near the end of these questions. I like Explorers. I particularly like that Explorer as well, which is actually called a Hamer Standard, but hey, it's an Explorer, isn't it? Would I ever consider getting something like an ESP MX, like the one Hetfield plays? I'm going to be totally honest. I think those guitars look really, really cool when James plays them, and super not cool when I play them. So that's one reason why I like the kind of 58 style Explorer, because I'm not as cool or as good as James Hetfield. But yeah, I mean, they're awesome guitars. Anytime I play one, I'm like, this makes sense. This guitar is built for that thing. You can be me and try to do that thing on a guitar like this, It's not quite the same. Not quite the same. So I think if you were a big time Metallica fan and you love James's playing and you've really studied how to play like him, something like that is definitely going to be the last little bit of polish on there. But yeah, I'm also a massive Hamer guitars nerd. I don't own any ESPs. I'm probably going to change that at some point. I saw they came out with those LTD Crackle finishes, which is pretty cool. And they're pretty tempting because, hey, Crackle is back. John Mayer using the AXFX3. Yeah, apparently. And what was it, like the Studio Clean preset or something like that? So it just kind of goes to show, doesn't it, that, everyone overlooks the factory presets, and then, one of, or if not the biggest name in guitar, just plugs into the Fractal, turns the preset knob and goes, that sounds good, I'm going to use it on the music I'm making. So I think there's a lesson in that for all of us. Probably especially me, because I'm like, oh wow, you can kind of dive in and do that. It's like, dude, play the guitar, it sounds epic. bit of Schenker for you all right there. Alrighty, this one comes from my buddy Tim. Tim, I hope you're feeling a bit better this week, mate, and your recovery's going smoothly. What is pure mathematics? Some of you may know that I studied that at university. I majored in pure mathematics and mathematical statistics, and I did that because I'm really interested in the kind of nuts and bolts stuff. And it sounds like it would be like ridiculously dry and super abstract, and it kind of is in a lot of cases, but the reason I liked studying pure maths, and I don't know what the definition is, like saying pure anything I immediately get suspicious about, but normally there are a kind of bunch of topics which fall under the banner of pure mathematics. Some people would see it as like math for math's sake, as opposed to say applied mathematics, where you would be looking at like, I want to solve a problem and I'm going to have a mathematical solution to it, and if I have to use a computer to do it, or some kind of numerical method, or something that's maybe not like super elegant to get there, then I'll do it. Or something like physics, which is like, hey, there's stuff out there and we want to talk about the stuff. Or chemistry, all of those topics use ideas that were initially developed in what you might call like pure mathematics. I basically kind of see it as, studying how you can abstract certain ideas from other fields of study and then build structures on top of them. For example, one of my favorite topics that I studied, differential geometry, deals with, when you have, if you think about like the entire universe that we live in, sort of like, how would you figure out what shape that is? Or if the example that always gets rolled out is something like Flatland by Edwin Abbott. Go and read that book if you kind of want to understand what, how you can get into pure mathematics with stuff that on the surface might seem like a bit of a kind of story for kids. But differential geometry, group theory, massively important, massively applied throughout the sciences. To me, it was just a way of organizing my thinking, and that was why I was really, really interested in it. And the things that I'm interested in, I always try to think about, if you think about something like music and what we're interested in, and you look at all the different ways people talk about theories of music, how much of that can you strip away and still be left with something that kind of makes sense and isn't just like, 1 equals 1. Well, this isn't telling me too much. So yeah, that's a really kind of, was that better or worse than my attempt at explaining voice leading last week? I don't know. There is some fantastic resources related to this on the internet if you want to go and get into that kind of thing, or you're curious about it. The YouTube channel 3 Blue 1 Brown is one of my favorites out there. It tackles a lot of topics in pure and applied mathematics and physics and engineering, and I guess it's kind of one of those things, it's just one of those things where it's like, if you don't play guitar and you watch someone playing guitar, you're like, that person's making music with something called a guitar. But when you're a guitar player, you might self-identify and be like, no, I am a rock / progressive metal / flamenco jazz guitar player. I just kind of see it as like, it's a subgenre of this entire interesting universe of thinking. Whether that was guitar or maths, I don't know. Anyway, thank you all so much for this week's questions. It's been intellectually stimulating and a bunch of fun. Put any questions you have in the comments below. I hope you all have a great weekend. I'm playing away this weekend doing my first fly gig for about 18 months. So I'm going to cross my fingers and my toes and my eyes and all those kind of things that it all goes well. And I've already got some videos scheduled for the weekend that you can all enjoy. Look out for this week's Sensitive Sunday. It is with a recurring guest on here who I think a lot of you will enjoy. And look, I'll see you all next time. I'm going to play some nasty sounding rock guitar, some pure math guitar for you all to end this video. Take it easy.